Hello students, welcome to our student support program for Mathematics Grade 9. Our topic for today is Personal and Household Finance. This is the third lesson on the chapter Personal and Household Finance. In this lesson, you will learn how to interpret and use tables and charts. For example, we are going to look at the CEB and CWA bills. So every month, we pay our utility bills, such as electricity and water that we use in our daily lives. The rates for the payment of such tariffs are based on tables and charts, which are released by organizations such as the Central Water Authority, that is the CWA, and the Central Electricity Board, that is the CEB. So you have some examples of the bills that we receive every month from the CWA and the CEB. Let us consider the first example. The table Billu is a modified CWA bill. Mrs. Smith used 62 meter cube during the month of July for her personal use. Calculate how much Mrs. Smith will have to pay to the CWA. Okay, let us now look at this table. You're going to see that we have different categories. We have what we call the domestic category, that is for our personal use when we use water at home. Then we have for commercial use and for agriculture. So we have different categories and each category is going to be charged on a different tariff. For domestic use, we are going to use the tariff 12. For commercial use, the tariff is 15. And for agriculture, it is 16. Now, there is a minimum charge which is applicable if our consumption of water is less than 10 meter cube. That is, if we use less than 10 meter cube, our tariff is going to be for domestic 35 rupees per month. Now, in case we use more than 10 meter cube, the tariff is going to be different. That is, for the first 10 meter cube, we will pay 7 rupees per meter cube. This is for domestic use. For the next 10 meter cube of water that we will use, we will pay 9 rupees per meter cube. For the next 30 meter cubes of water, we will pay 18 rupees per meter cube. And then for every additional meter cube of water that we will use, we will be charged 34 rupees per meter cube. This is for domestic use. Now for commercial use, whatever be the amount of water that we are going to use for meter cube, it will be 25 rupees per meter cube. And for agriculture, we will be charged 8 rupees 50 per meter cube. In addition, we will also need to pay for the meter rental. So it is going to be 10 rupees for each customer for the rent of the meter, which is found in our yard. If a payment is made after the due date, then we will have to pay a surcharge of 10% on the current amount payable. So in case I am late to pay my CWA bill, I will have to pay a fine. So it is going to be a surcharge of 10%. Now, in this case, Mrs. Smith has used 62 meter cube of water for her personal use. So the tariff will be tariff 12. This is for domestic use. So let us see how we are going to calculate the amount that Mrs. Smith will have to pay to the CWA. So you have a picture of a table for domestic use only here. We know that she has used 62 meter cubes of water. So for the first 10 meter cubes, it's going to be 7 rupees times 10. 7 times 10 because we pay 7 rupees per meter cube. So this gives me 70 rupees. So for the next 10, it is going to be 10 times 9. That is 90 rupees. For the next 30 units used, the cost per unit is 18 rupees. So I'm going to have 30 times 18. That is 540 rupees. So we have already paid for 10 plus 10 plus 30. That is for 50 meter cubes. And Mrs. Smith has used 62 meter cubes. So this means that there is still 12 meter cubes to pay. 62 minus 10 plus 10 plus 30. So we have already paid for 10 plus 10 plus 30. That is 50. And we need to pay for the remaining 12 units. So for every additional meter cube, we need to pay 34 rupees. So it's going to be 12 times 34. That is 408. And don't forget that we also need to pay for the meter rental, 10 rupees. So the total cost will be 70 plus 90 plus 540 plus 408 and plus 10 for the meter rental. So her bill will be 1,118 rupees. That is, Mrs. Smith will have to pay 1,118 rupees to the CWA. Second example. Mr. Raj, a planter, used 210 meter cubes of water during the month of June. Calculate how much he has to pay for his water consumption. So because he's a planter, this means that we are going to use the tariff agriculture. Okay? So here we are going to use tariff 16. And it is going to be 8 rupee 50 per meter cube. So the amount used is 210 meter cube. The category will be agriculture, that is tariff 16. And we can see that it is 8 rupees 50 per meter cube. So the total cost will be 210 times 8 rupee 50 plus, not to forget, the meter rental 10 rupees. So Mr. Raj will have to pay 1,795 rupees. A third example now. Mr. Ali used 325 meter cubes of water for his commercial business. However, Mr. Ali was taken up and could not pay his bill on time. Calculate the amount he will have to pay for his CWA bill. So here, Mr. Ali was late in paying his bill. This means that he will have to pay the fine, the surcharge. So the amount used is 325 meter cube. The category is commercial and the tariff is going to be 15, that is 25 rupees per meter cube. So the cost is going to be 25 times 325 plus 10 rupees for the meter rental, which is equal to 8,135 rupees. But remember, there is a surcharge if you're late. So here the fine is going to be 10% of the current amount payable, that is 10% of 8,135 rupees, which is equal to 813 rupees and 50 cents. So the total amount that Mr. Ali will have to pay will be 8,135 rupees plus 813 rupees and 50 cents, which is going to give a total of 8,948 rupees and 50 cents. Now we move on to the fourth example on CEB chart. So here we are going to consider for the Central Electricity Board. The table below is a modified CEB chart. Mr. Aki used 213 units of electricity during the month of August. How much will he have to pay CEB? So let us have a look at this chart. So for domestic use, here we are going to have for the first 25 units, we are going to pay 3 rupees 20 cents per kilowatt hour. That is per unit. For the next 25, we pay 4 rupees 40. And this goes on. And for all additional units after all these, we will pay 9 rupees per unit. Again, the meter rental is 10 rupees for each customer. And if the payment is made after the due date, there will be a surcharge of 5%. So let us have a look at the solution. The total number of units used is 213. So we are going to have a look at the chart now. For the first 25 units, it's 3 rupees 20. So it's going to be 25 times 3 rupees 20, which is 80 rupees. For the next 25 now, it is 4 rupees 40. So next 25, I'm going to have 25 times 4 rupees 40, which is 110 rupees. For the next 25, it's going to be 4 rupees 80. So I'm going to have 25 times 4 rupees 80, which is equal to 120 rupees. The next 25, as you can see in the chart, it is 5 rupees 50. So here I will have 25 times 5 rupees 50, which is equal to 137 rupees and 50 cents. Now for the next 100, it is 6 rupees 20. So I will have 100 times 6 rupees 20, which is equal to 620 rupees. Now if we add, we can see that we will have 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25, which is 100, plus 100, 200. So the total number of units used by Mr. Aki is 213. And when we add all these, we have 200. So 213 minus 200 will give me 13. This means that Mr. Aki still has to pay for the next 13 units. And this will go in this level, this category, next 50, where the charge is 7 rupees per unit. So here I will have 13 times 7, which is 91 rupees. Don't forget the meter rental, which is 10 rupees for each customer. So the total amount to be paid by Mr. Aki will be the total cost for the number of units used plus the meter rental. So I will add all these, 80 plus 110 plus 120 plus 137 rupees and 50 cents plus 620 plus 91 rupees plus the 10 rupees for the meter rental, which is going to give me 1,168 rupees and 50 cents. The next example now. Mrs. Fauzia used 306 units of electricity during the month of September. How much will she have to pay CEB if she was late paying her bill? So let us have a look at how we will calculate the amount that she will have to pay. This is the CEB modified chart. So the total number of units used is 306, and we are going to use the modified CEB chart. So for the first 25 units, just as in the previous example, we are going to have 25 times 3 rupees 20. Next 25 units, 25 times 4 rupees 40. Next 25, 25 times 4 rupees 80. The next 25, 25 times 5 rupees 50. So we already have for 100 units here. The next 100 units will be 100 times 6 rupees 20. This gives a total of 200 so far. Now, the next 50 will be 50 times 7 rupees, 350 rupees. The next 50 will be 8 rupees times 50, 400 rupees. So we have already calculated for 300 units so far. There will be a remaining of 6 units, 306 minus 300. And you can see in the chart, for all additional units, we have 9 rupees per unit. So here I will have 6 times 9 rupees, that is 54 rupees. So the meter rental will be 10 rupees for each customer, and the total amount to be paid here will be the total cost plus the meter rental, but don't forget that there will be a surcharge which we are going to calculate. So first we need to find the amount payable. So it's going to be 80 plus 110 plus 120 plus 137.50 plus 620 plus 350 plus 400 plus 54 plus the 10 rupees meter rental, which is 1,881 rupees and 50 cents. Then we have the surcharge, which is 5%. So here we have two ways of calculating this. I can find the surcharge 5% of the amount payable. Then to find the total amount, I will add the amount to be paid plus the surcharge. Or I can also do it directly as here. So there is a fine of 5%. So the total amount to be paid will be 105 over 100 times the current amount payable, which is going to give me 1,975 rupees, decimal 575, which has been rounded. So Mrs. Fauzia will have to pay 1,975 rupees and 58 cents. We move on to the next example. Mrs. Shalini paid 248 rupees to CEB for her electricity bill for the month of December. Assuming she paid her bill on time, calculate the number of units she has used for the month of December. So in this question, we already know how much Mrs. Shalini will pay, but we don't know how many units she has used, and this is what we need to find. So the amount paid for December is 248 rupees. We know that there is a meter rental of 10 rupees. So the amount paid for the number of units consumed will be 248 rupees minus 10 rupees, which is 238 rupees. Now we have a chart here to help us. We know that for the first 25 units, it will be 25 times 3 rupees 20, that is 80 rupees. For the next 25 units, it will be 25 times 4 rupees 40, which is 110 rupees. Next 25, it will be 25 times 4 rupees 80, which is 120 rupees. Now, if I add these two, I am going to get 190 rupees, which is still not the amount that I need. So it means that Mrs. Shalini has used more than 50 units, 25 plus 25. So the amount paid for the first 50 units is 190 rupees. The amount left will be 238 minus 190. That is 48 rupees. So for the remaining units, it will be 48 divided by 4 rupees and 80 cents. 10. So in all, Mrs. Shalini has used 25 plus 25 plus the 10 remaining units. That is, she has used a total of 60 units. So here we need to work backwards. We were already given the amount paid and we had to find the total number of units used. So here you have a few questions to practice, and for all the questions you're going to use this CEB chart and this CWA chart. So you have the questions and you're going to use the two previous tables. For question 7, so you have CWA and CEB mixed together and you're given the category and the units used. You're also given the last day for payment and the date when the payment was effected. So you're given, for example, here the 12th March was the last day and the payment was done on 10th March. So the bill was paid on time. For example, here, the last date for payment was 9th August, but the payment was made on 15th August. So this means that the payment was made late and there will be a surcharge, a fine. So in today's lesson, we have learned how to interpret and use tables and charts, namely the CEB and CWA bills. So students, we have reached the end of today's lesson on personal and household finance. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Until we meet again, it's goodbye.